Hello, everyone. I hope that you're having a good day today. I'm not just going to talk about the negative. On some of these stories, there's some happy endings. So I want to make sure to get this information out there. So I'll probably say better the happier endings. I'll say that for last. Say that copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. I always like to go ahead and have a Bible verse. This Bible verse shows how God does not like anyone harming kids. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones, which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depths of the sea. So I hope everyone's having a good day. I've got lots of stories to share with y'all. It's very. I'll do the saddest story first. Hey there, good to see you, Cash. I'll do the saddest story first, and then I'll end up uh, with the better stories that were all horrible, but it had good outcomes. So, but the first one is heartbreaking, especially. Good to see you, Jackie. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming, you too. I appreciate y'all. See, this is where a body of missing 4-year-old found in Garrett County pond. This was from WBALTV.com. Updated April the 21st, 2023. I'm laughing at it, Jackie, about the angry face. I'm not laughing about what I'm saying. I'm laughing about you not meaning the angry face there. So Blair Young that wrote this article. He's a digital editor. Body of missing 4-year-old found in Garrett County pond. Got to find out. We'll find out in a minute where it's at. Maryland. The Maryland State Police are investigating an incident in which a 4-year-old boy's body was found in a pond. This is different than the one we had the other day, y'all, okay? According to police, the body of Fox Piper, age 4, was found by members of the Deep Creek Fire Department dive team in a pond in the Oakland area around 10 p.m. Thursday. He was declared dead at the scene. The initial call about a missing child came in around 7:30 p.m. Thursday when troopers responded to the unit block of Temperance Way. According to police, the child was last seen by family members around 6:30 p.m. on the porch of their home. A multi-agency search for the child followed before he was located by the dive team. The pond is located close to the family's home. This case remains under investigation. This is a new story out there. It's sad that he was found in the pond. Me, the family of his family cannot words cannot describe how I feel towards the family at the moment. I don't know who last seen him, but I don't think I would have liked to leave my young son unattended outside, but I'm not going to cast no blame there, you know. We all turn our backs or go inside and maybe use the bathroom for a minute. Sometimes we leave the child outside if it's out in the country. So we don't know all the situations and everything that's going around that case right there. So here in Ohio, this was posted April the 13th. A teen girl missing 9 months was found with a 41-year-old man in Ohio. She was found, thank God. Columbus, Ohio. A teen reported missing in July 2022 was found this week with a 41-year-old man in Columbus, Ohio. According to a release from the U.S. Marshals Service, authorities had been working with Cuyahoga County Job and Family Services since the 14-year-old girl was reported missing on July the 9th, 2022, in Garfield Heights, Ohio. She was featured on Fox 8's missing segment in January. Hi, Little Wing. Good to see you. Appreciate you coming. She was, yeah, she was 14-year-old girl, July 9th, 2022, and she just recently found. Yes, 14 and 41. Exactly. He was 41. USMS recovered the girl and identified the man with her Wednesday morning. The man is under investigation by local authorities and charges are pending. The girl was to be safely returned to CCJFS. The continued efforts of our missing child unit and the cooperation of local law enforcement led to this safe recovery. U.S. Marshals Pete Elliott said in a release, "Every day mattered for this 14-year-old girl. We can rest easily knowing she's found." Yes. Said no other information is available at the moment. I hope they give the family privacy. She deserves the privacy. No telling what kind of horror she's been in. I would, even though it's kidnapping, I would hope that it would be a father type of thing that wanted custody of the child over some kidnapper that would do sexual things towards her. You know, that's the lesser of two evils, I believe. This Perry County sheriff, okay, Texas 13-year-old kidnapped in February and was found in Mississippi with a 27-year-old man. Look, y'all, this is happening too much, too often. This is published April the 11th, 2023. Perry County Sheriff Mitch Nobles described the alleged kidnapping from Texas a dangerous situation. Here's the perpetrator right here. Arrested and charged Thomas Patton with sexual battery and kidnapping in connection with the girl's disappearance from Houston in February. So a lot of times I go ahead and when I go in there, change my settings to because I'm going to let y'all hear it'll probably say a commercial first, like usual.
Are you looking to change your mood? Well, these are full spectrum infused gummies from Hello Mood. I've been trying mood products for about a month now, and all I can say is, wow, this is a great product with a ton of benefits. It's helped me reduce stress, calm my mind. I even use them to help
The search continues for missing Minnesota mom Madeline Kingsbury, who disappeared on March 31st after dropping her 2 kids off at daycare.
Family members desperate for answers, as her sister Megan says she and Madeline were sharing funny text messages the morning that she mysteriously vanished.
Megan Kingsbury joins us now. Megan, again, we're so sorry you have to go through this. How out of character is it for your sister to just stop communicating like this?
Extremely out of character. I was in contact with her almost constantly every day for many years.
Did anyone else in your family speak to your sister that day, or were you the only one that had texted her?
I was the only one who had heard from her that day.
Have police told you anything about what they think happened?
You know, not really. Things are pretty close to the vest with them. They obviously don't want to jeopardize any current or future investigation. They give us what info they can. Unfortunately, it's not as much as we'd like to hear.
So, Megan, you're her sister. There's that sisterly bond. Were there any, or are there any gut feelings or instincts of what happened to her?
There certainly are.
Sorry that that is important. Also, that's a minute that news story about the missing mom. It needs out there as well. But us trying to get with the story of the Texas 13-year-old kidnapped in February, found in Mississippi with 27-year-old man. I need to get to that story. But a little bit of that story, they're looking for answers because the Minnesota mom, Madeline Kingsbury, she needs answers for her missing daughter. Okay, we'll get back to this other story. Mississippi authorities have located missing 13-year-old Texas girl living with a 27-year-old man in Perry County. Perry County Sheriff Mitch Nobles praised a couple who saw the girl walking along Highway 98 across from Perry Central High School on Thursday and contacted authorities. There was a couple that broke down right there on Highway 98, and this little girl approached him. Thank God that they broke down. They probably weren't happy about being broken down, but now I think they're grateful that they broke down because they were able to save this child. Couple noticed something was wrong and contacted the sheriff's office. Perry County Sheriff's Office arrested and charged Thomas Patton with sexual battery and kidnapping in connection with the girl's disappearance from Houston in February. Exactly. The Perry County Sheriff's Office identified the girl as the missing 13-year-old from Houston, and upon further investigation, arrested and charged Thomas Patton with sexual battery and kidnapping in connection with the girl's disappearance from Houston in February. Investigators believe Patton, a Perry County resident, met the girl in Houston while he was there for work and transported her back to his residence in New Augusta, Mississippi. Nobles explained that while the incident is similar in nature to trafficking, his office cannot charge Patton with trafficking because there was no exchange for money or other materials when Patton allegedly kidnapped the girl from Texas and transported her across state lines. No, he did it for his own benefit, so it's not considered trafficking because there was nothing monetary. The girl's parents reported her missing out of Houston in February, and there was no word from her until we located her Thursday morning. Nobles added that he wants to make the community aware, especially young females, to be very careful and not put yourselves in this kind of situation by getting into strangers' vehicles. It's definitely a dangerous situation for a missing 13-year-old from Texas to end up all the way over here in Mississippi. I thank God that he didn't kill her. Honestly, I do. Always be prepared to be embarrassed and be wrong if you have an instinct. That's right. Better to act. Oh, yeah. And here's another case right here where it's abducted 11-year-old rescued after police tracked down the child's iPad. And this is from ABC News. I give them credit. Okay, I'm not going to play that biting thing. It's a biting thing. It's not what we're trying to see. Okay. 11-year-old girl who was abducted from Youngwood, Pennsylvania, was found on Monday after police used geolocation on her iPad to find her. According to Westmoreland District Attorney's Office, Pennsylvania State Police then arrested Keith Lilylock. Get out of my way. I don't want that. At least it's muted. All right. Okay, let me go back to over here because that popped up over there where I was scrolling down. It infuriates me. I'm sorry. Pennsylvania State Police then arrested Keith Lilylock, 43, and charged him with luring a child into a motor vehicle and interference with the custody of children, the DA's office said. The child told police she was riding her bike to Pittsburgh to visit her sister on Sunday when she stopped at a gas station to take a break. Leaving her bike at the gas station, the victim walked to a nearby Dollar General where Lilylock approached her and allegedly offered to drive her wherever she needed after he closed the store. Okay, good to see you. Thanks for coming, Little Wing. I appreciate you. Yeah, kids do need to be tracked down nowadays. It's scary to let them out of sight. Exactly. According to the district attorney's office, video surveillance from the Dollar General showed Lilylock talking with the child for over 20 minutes. A bloodhound team located the victim's scent near the gas station. Police alleged that Lilylock drove the child to his home in South Greensboro, Pennsylvania, leaving her in a car for 5 minutes while he went inside. The victim told police Lilylock rubbed her leg and touched her stomach area under her shirt before she asked him to take her to a friend's house in Latrobe, the press release said. According to investigators, the key to the child's recovery was an iPad, which allowed law enforcement to geolocate the child at a home near Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Here's the culprit right here, Keith Lilylock. Exactly, you got to educate. You need to do role play and different things like that to get your kids to fully understand. Police recovered the child from the house in Latrobe, arrested Lilylock on Monday afternoon. Lilylock told police he offered the girl a ride but denied he touched her. Of course he's going to deny it. He's been held without bail at the Westmoreland County Prison. I don't think she would have lied about something like that. I really don't. Now, who's ever ready for happier endings also with these different cases? Okay, see this picture here? Missing children's cases with happy endings. See, this is how she looked when she went. Listen, over here to the left. I'm circling with my mouse. I guess she looks like that today. Looks like she was on Oprah Winfrey right there. J.C. Duggard was 11 years old when she was snatched near her Tahoe, California school in 91 by Philip and Nancy Garrido. After being held captive for 18 years and giving birth to 2 daughters fathered by her abductor, a convicted sex offender, Duggard was reunited with her family in 2009. Philip Garrido was sentenced to 431 years in prison, while Nancy Garrido was sentenced to 36 years. That's still pretty good sentencing there, 431 years in prison. And I hope it's without bail, without bond, or without where they could get out early. I would hate for them to be able to do that. Okay. Sometimes I don't want to go on to the next one. Okay, here we go. This right here. You remember this case? Now, they will not enjoy prison. This is Elizabeth Smart. Oh, I remember this case a little bit too well. She was 14 years old when she was kidnapped at knife point from her Salt Lake City bedroom in 2002 and held captive as a sex slave for 9 months before she was spotted walking with her captor, Brian David Mitchell, and rescued. Mitchell was sentenced to life in prison. Smart, who is an ABC News consultant, runs a children's foundation. Way to go. Way to go. Thank you, Elizabeth Smart. She is now an ABC News consultant and runs a children's foundation. Thank you so much. And this is Sean Hornbeck. He was abducted as he rode his bike in St. Louis suburb in 2002. He was 11 years old. 4 years later, police raided a Kirkwood, Missouri apartment and found Hornbeck, then 15, and Ben Omby, 13, who had been missing for 4 days. The kidnapper, Michael Devlin, was sentenced to life in prison. Hornbeck started a foundation to help other abducted children. So we need to look up them names and find out what kind of organization they started. Maybe we could support them. Also, his name is Sean Hornbeck. We definitely need to support them. This one is missing and recovered. In 1992, Katie Beers, then age 9, was snatched by John Esposito, a neighbor on New York's Long Island, and held captive for 17 days in an underground bunker. She said he sexually abused her during her captivity. After Esposito turned himself in, he pleaded guilty to kidnapping charges and was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. Well, I don't think he needs 15 years to life. I think he needs life. No doubt about that. I do too. This is where we get. I want to start trying to end things on a positive note. So I'm looking for some positive things when I go to tell these things. And this missing and recovered. At age 7, Stephen Stayer was kidnapped in 1972 while walking home from school in Merced, California. In 1980, Stayer escaped captivity along with 5-year-old Timothy White, who was also in prison. The boy's captor, Kenneth Parnell, was convicted of kidnapping and was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Stayer died in a motorcycle accident in 1989 at age 24. Oh, I'm sorry, he's not around today. He didn't die at that person's hands, so thank God. I've seen parents pay more attention to their phone than their child nowadays. Last week when I was at the food store, a child was stuck in a trolley. Secretary man was at help. And the mom turned, wow, it's horrible. And the kids depend on, they need their parents. Here's the other boy is Timothy White, the other boy that escaped, that he helped escape. Was 5 when he was grabbed by convicted child molester Kenneth Parnell as he walked home from his Ukiah, California school in 1980. 5 years old, walking alone. Both of them were grabbed on their way home. This other boy was a little older, but usually at 5 years old, there's usually got to be somebody still walking with them. It's crazy. as a convicted child molester Kenneth Parnell as he walked home from Ukiah, California school in 1980. 2 weeks later, fellow captive Stephen Stair, then 14, fled with White, and they hitchhiked to safety. Parnell died in 2008 at age 76 while in Still prison. White died of an apparent pulmonary embolism in 2010 at age 35. Oh, man. That's not too much of a happy ending. But they did get escaped, and culprit is dead. He cannot hurt another person. But White died of an apparent pulmonary embolism. Wow. Age 35. Yeah. You walked alone at that age? Yes, they have been. You got that right. Look at the difference. She was this little baby in this picture, and this was her grown right here. Carlina White's case had run cold until she solved it herself. Wow, she solved it herself. On August the 4th, 1987, White's parents took their 9-day-old baby to the Harlem Hospital's emergency room where she was kidnapped. Years later, as an adult, White started looking into her past and eventually contacted the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. In 2011, at the age of 23, White was reunited with her biological family. Wow. Mom was a bit frantic, but the kid was okay. But how long did it take for the mom to realize her kid was gone? Luckily, the security man was there and got the child unstuck between the trolleys. You got that right. Yeah, we don't know enough. I mean, it's like it could be any predator. It could even be a police officer. It's sad. You don't know who to trust anymore. You know, you can't trust school teachers because a lot of school teachers are doing these actions as well. So who do you really trust? That's kind of hard. Like I had trouble trusting as my own family that was doing these things and selling me to men and all that kind of stuff. That don't take long at all to snatch a kid. This is Steve Carter. Knew he was adopted, but he didn't know he was listed as a missing person, missing for decades. Carter, a software salesman in Philadelphia, was adopted from a foster home in Honolulu when he was 4 years old. In 2010, he found himself on a missing children's website. It was confirmed he was actually Mark's Panama Moriarty Barnes. His biological mother had disappeared with him as an infant, 34 years prior. Huh. I hope, I don't know whether to say whether or not she had met a bad fate too. Exactly, the FedEx case, right. No, we can't. If we see something, we say something. You know, we don't need to just let a child be hurt. If we're seeing, and that's why I called police several times on the neighbor across the street when he was threatening to knock the kids to the ground, and he was homeless, and yet people were letting him stay in that house that has no running water or anything. But he was a vile young man, and so I'm glad that he's moved into another location now. This is Austrian Elizabeth Fritz's case gained international attention when it was discovered her father, Joseph Fritzl, had imprisoned, raped, and abused her for 24 years. Her own father did this. Elizabeth Fritzl was held captive as a sex slave in an underground dungeon where she gave birth to 7 children fathered by Joseph. She and her surviving 6 children were freed in 2008. Joseph Fritzl was sentenced to life in prison. Whoa. Whoa. Wow. These cases, I just have to take a breath. So this is so this was in Europe. I guess that's where the Frizzle it's Austrian Elizabeth Frizzle's. Yes, I was thinking it was probably European to German or something like that. So I'm glad you let us know that it's in Europe. So I guess that's the end of that. I'm so glad. Oh man. All them kids from her father. I think there was a story I had watched similar and um he was this the one where he was finally busted when he had her hidden in that strange place and had her locked in a room? Um, there was no, that's probably a different case because the guy ended up trying to kidnap another girl after he had so many kids with his daughter, and that ended up where he ended up getting caught. So it might be a total different case. You finally took her to a hospital? Finally? So did he deliver all the babies himself? I'm gonna have to end up looking at looking at uh, that right quick. Oh yeah. Wow. These things they just flabbergast me every time. I'll find a documentary somewhere. Okay, I have to be sure to look into that for sure. But the good notes is that a lot of these did escape and they are returned safely. And I really like the fact, as Cash had said, how some of the people are coming back and speaking out and telling their short story and helping other kids and helping other people. That's why I do what I do as well. A little while ago, I don't know who all goes to Lip Lock, but I was in Lip Locks and she's going to have a guy on there that was Jehovah Witness, and she's going to question him. And I did a documentary on the Jehovah Witnesses and about the secret database that they have. So I've got it in my files too. So if anybody ever wanted to go look at the tags, but it's going to be rather interesting interviewing one of the main guys where I had in one of the articles. So I'm looking forward to being there when she does that. And him going to be there on YouTube while she's talking to him and questioning him. And she said she used to be in that as well. So she's a survivor from that cultish church as well. Every time they come to my house, they finally stopped coming because I said, I don't need you sex offenders coming here. They said, we're not sex offenders. As long as you're not reprimanding, if you're covering up for sex offenders and you're saying that y'all deal with sex offenders, and I know that's utter BS, you are a sex offender when you're covering up for the sins and all the stuff that he's doing. You're as to blame. I said, don't give me that. um, One lady wrote at Facebook yesterday after I had put on there because I did that live concerning a preacher in Franklin, Tennessee, who downloaded child pornography. And so I was getting the word out there. He was arrested on 6 counts of, yeah, it is. It is very dark. I try not to go there because my stepmom, y'all know how horrific my story is, and that's part of my story too, from my stepmom being in a satanic cult in our own yard. Anyway, somebody yesterday had told me that I need to leave these preachers alone, that they were called by God. And I kind of like got a little bit mad and said, well, these ones that are going and harming kids are not called by God. God didn't tell them to mess with these kids. Don't put it on saying that they were called by God and telling me to leave them alone. How dare it? You know what I'm saying? I will speak up and I will defend the. I'm not going to just idly just keep letting this happen and just keep my mouth shut just because this person's a preacher and just because these people go ahead and they rape these kids or whatever. No, I'm going to speak out about it. I'm going to be a voice. The black pill cult. Oh, sounds like something like a death cult. And parents need to even not make sure that the kids cannot be accessing TikTok and different things like that as well because they got youth challenges out there. There was another kid who took another YouTube TikTok challenge, and they got it where you take an overdose of Benadryl, right? And then like 16 Benadryl tablets. And then you're supposed to video record yourself during your hysterical being drugged up like this. Well, a guy in Texas ended up dying from the drug overdose. Exactly. And to me, that really hurt because I really thought this friend would be more open to speaking out against this kind of thing because she tries to say that she's a Christian and stuff, and that kind of hurt me bad. The black pill, social media. Wow. Exactly. I'm not going to just say, well, whenever I'm exposing a preacher or something for being a pedophile and him getting arrested on 6 charges of exploitation of children, right? I'm not going to leave it alone. And she said, well, you need to leave him alone. He's called by God. No, it's not called by God. No, I'm not going to remain silent. And, and if it keeps going like this, I might have to end up getting rid of her. And I do have another friend that um, she hates when I talk about God. She said, I'm so glad you know what God thinks. I said, it ain't a matter of knowing what God thinks. I said, it's a matter that I will speak up for God because He's the only reason I survived. I said, there ain't no doubt about that. And if this person keeps on, it's going to be where I have to do something about that too, but I'm trying to give the person benefit of the doubt. But do not ridicule me for my beliefs. I'm going to let you have your beliefs, but don't come down on me and start ridiculing me about my beliefs and diss me about my beliefs. Exactly. Because like I like to really show, you know, and even though people might not be scriptural, a lot of people says, "Well, I don't attend church because I was abused by people that was quoting the Bible," and I like, okay, so was I, but different people's got different healing journeys, and what they can do and what they can't do, and I'm not going to judge them about that. I'm just saying me in my instance, right? And I always like using this Bible verse right here, where it says Matthew 18, verse 6, "But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and he were drowned in the depths of the sea." So you cannot tell me that's part of what God wants. You cannot say that he was called by God all because he's a preacher. Just because somebody's up there preaching a word doesn't mean that he's really a good person. He's human. He makes mistakes. He makes errors, but he's got choices. He made choices to do this. And one thing I really thought about when I saw that story, um, I thought, well, he's the pastor of the church. How many kids go to that church? Has he ever been alone with any of the little kids? Has he took little pictures and fantasized about them when they wasn't at home? Little things like that. I know that just kind of like put my mind in those kind of questions. It just did. My mind actually went there. Like, was he fantasizing possibly about some of these kids at the church? But he was at the church using the Wi-Fi and the computer there and downloaded the material, the child porn. Disgusting. Yeah, I think we got a right to question everything because I think if we limit ourselves and do not question, how are we going to grow to realize some of these other things and try to catch the errors or try to stop something from happening? Thank you for saying that, Becky. I appreciate that. And then you said pedophiles find positions they can use yeah, exactly. And like I said, this was the same COC, not the same church per se that I was going to. It was still the Church of Christ, and they were ostracizing me and telling me that I need to be quiet. I need to stop doing my book. I need to stop helping other people that this is happening to. That I'm blaspheming God by getting out there and talking about and trying to help others. And I'm like, no. So I thought it was very imperative to even share that it's not just the Catholic Church that this happens to. It's not just Jehovah Witnesses. It's not just one per se religion. It happens everywhere. So I said, I really need to get this out there because it happens everywhere. And as long as I'm alive, I will stick up and I will defend others. It will not silence me about that. Exactly. Exactly. It's about power and control. I uh I don't know if I got it downloaded to my computer or anything. Had y'all ever seen like the power and control wheel that somebody an organization has out there? I'm gonna see if I can find that right quick. get to Google right quick. We got different ones as well. Thank you so much. Okay, you gotta get this. I'll show this so that, and I will give credit where credit is due. And it's good to know that they do have different power and control wheels as well. Don't sound like I will ever give up. What at times I do. I get frustrated, but then somebody sets me straight, and I'm so glad and grateful that y'all do set me straight. Can you notice about this power and control wheel? Since this is about break free from abuse, domestic violence is a pattern of behaviors. So this is basically from the hotline.org, identify abuse, power, and control. The wheel serves as a diagram of tactics that an abused partner uses to keep their victims in a relationship. Inside of the wheel is made up of subtle, continual behaviors over time, while the outer ring represents physical and sexual violence. Abusive actions like those depicted in the outer ring often reinforce the regular use of other or subtle methods found in the inner ring. Power and control. It's like they use children, making her feel guilty about the children, using the children to relay messages, using visitation to harass her, threatening to take the children away, treating her like a servant, making all the big decisions, acting like the master of the castle, being the one to define men and women's roles. Yeah, they minimize, denying the blame, etc., and etc. But they also have other power and control wheels as well. Let's see what's this? What's violence? Let's see what this is about. That's physical violence right there. That is, I can't really see what that one is. See what that says. Fire and control wheel or domestic abuse intervention. That's got a lot of, see how it really goes into full fledged. This is really imperative that we know that there's some help out there, and then that would help some other victims to know and identify, like, hey, that's where I'm at. There's also nonviolent ones, there's equalities. There's so many different ones right here. Abusive and violent relationships. Uh, let's see. So many of them. I don't know if y'all can tell this or not. There's so. Some of them are repetitive, but some of these are. Wow, they also got one in Spanish. It's good that they do that. I want to see what this is about. This one right here. An abusive relationship contains distinct patterns and elements. Physical violence, most of verbal abuse, financial, economic, sexual coercion, financial, economic, sexism, using children, denying and minimizing, and blaming, intimidation, and threats. I've never come this far and like to stop now. Cass says, I think molesters and abusers are their scary old man at the park. No, it could be anyone. Matter of fact, I was shocked to say that there were a lot of handsome men. Whenever I looked at the local sex offenders and everything, I'm like, wow. If I didn't see this, I probably would have walked up to the guy and say, "Hi, how you doing?" Like, wow, I'm glad I knew about it. So it's all right here. It's even workplace abuse of power. It's got so many things where people can look it up. So there's so many different avenues where people can look up and get the help and find out. Let's see, we got lesbian, gay, transgendered, um, so many, and this is something about schools. What? This is a schools edition. Wolves and sheets clothing. That's right. This is where the wheels of power and control with schools. You can view the post blog here. Kind of hard to see this as big. I think I'm going to have to use my yours and squinch it up. See, it's always going to have coercion and threats, intimidation, emotional abuse, economic abuse, employer privilege, using coworkers, isolation, minimizing, denying, and blaming. To me, this is all about narcissistic abuse. Oh no, I'm afraid to look at this one. I hate doing this. Wow, amazing, uh, Cash. Thank her for what she's doing. See, this is all about Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But join us October. Hey, there was something else it's supposed to show right here. That's why I clicked on it. I believe survivors, October's domestic violence. That's not what I was looking at, though. It's been right here. I don't see this. I clicked on it, but it's sending me the wrong one. See what this. Okay. This right here. And a lot of people had to put up with this as well. Female genital mutilation. They do that to honor killings, burning, acid throwing, torture, rape, sexual abuse. It's the immigrant power and control will. Wow. There's a lot out there, a lot of information. But it's at our disposed so we could go and use what we can to try to stick up and stand out and be a voice to others who don't have a voice anymore. Yeah, that preacher was. He needed outed. I outed him yesterday. He's a deputy head, and you would not be surprised. Probably 4 or 5 pedo trials in 10 years. She taught some historic. Wow. No, they're not. Even some people who we think are dumb at YouTube, they know how to play people well. And so, especially if they're street smart. And so I don't buy into some of a certain people's ploys, and now they're claiming that their ribs are damaged and everything, like broken ribs and stuff. And feel like that's just another way to get money. I am so glad of technology as well. Some of these predators, they know how to get away with it, and they do get away with it, and that's so shameful. And it's even more shameful that a lot of the police don't go and do anything about it when they do know something. And you're trying to do your best to get it out there. And we should be working together to stop this from happening instead of just kind of closing your eyes or turning your back on it or something. How are we going to make a difference unless everyone works together to resolve the issue? The people that's in the mayors, the senators, the governors, everybody working together to fight this and come together to make a difference. How are we going to do it unless everybody works together? We're going to still keep banging our heads about it. Like y'all probably heard of that case of Gracie and Grant Solomon. That's horrific what was done there. Richard Huckle case, you got a prison justice. Spoiler alert. Oh, he did he? Ooh, I think I could understand about the prison justice right there. Yeah, I'm gonna write down that name because a lot of times, for some reason, my chats have been going away, so I cannot go back and read it. I got an ex-boyfriend that's in jail now because he messed with his niece after I left. He had went into the house where she was at, and he went in there and done some things, and then he did that to another kid as well. So, needless to say, all he got was 10 years. That's all he has to do. That's all he has to pay. You said Richard Huckle? Where's he from? Is he from England or where? Oh, UK? Okay, UK. One time that abusive boyfriend was gonna try to force me to do anal, so he was gonna rape me. And I told him, no, you don't. And he had a toy in his nightstand. And I went to the nightstand and got it and says, if you do that to me, I'll do this and hurt you that way as well. Okay. He said, but I might have a heart attack if you do that to me. I said, well, I guess you don't want a heart attack, do you? I said, because if you force that and do that to me, I will do this. So that stopped him from doing that. I retaliated. Oh, really? In Asia? Wow. It's kind of weird. He's like, but I could still do it to you, but it could kill me. And I'm like, oh, well, if it could kill you, I would advise you, not to do it to me unless you want to die. So that's pretty good that turnabout. Had to go back that way too. I want to thank you all for being here, and God bless you. And remember to pray for these missing kids, especially like Summer Wells and Joe Clyde Daniels' case. And there's a lot more. There was this girl, I don't know her name, that's missing from North Carolina. She was missing a few years back, I had heard, and it was the uncle who had kidnapped her prior, and now she's missing again. So we don't know who's got her. I don't even know if he's out of jail and kidnapped her again. We don't know. So please keep that little child in your thoughts and prayers as well for her safe return. And I want to say thank you so much. And I love each and every one of y'all. And thank your wife for what she does as well. All right. Thank you, Jackie. Lots of love. You have a blessed day too.